And if you look into the far side of the airfield now, to the south, you will see our CH-47 Chinook running in at low level. The display team here today are specially trained, the only display in the world of this nature, to fly the aircraft towards the edge of its limits. And it's an absolute pleasure to present to you the very first manoeuvre of today, which will be a pitch up to 50 degrees, a pedal turn before the aircraft exits to the left. And you can hear there the charismatic noise that the Chinook makes. We call that blade slap, the sound of those two rotors slapping the air into submission as that aircraft manoeuvres hard. They're going to come out to the left now, and they're going to conduct for you a 30-degree offset wing over. So the aircraft will come out to the right, and then make a turn back left. And as they make this turn, the handling pilot this year in the right-hand seat, the Chinook Display Captain, Flight Lieutenant Matt Smitty Smythe. Smitty joined the RAF in 2007. He's been on 27 Squadron with us for the last 10 years, a highly experienced pilot. He's a training captain, like many of us, responsible for coaching junior pilots on the aircraft. He's deployed to Afghanistan, Mali, the Falklands, and many exercises in Europe during his time on the squadron. We're now going to see an advanced manoeuvre for Chinook, what we call a nose over. The aircraft's going to pitch up now to about 50 degrees. It's going to reach the top of the climb, and as it comes to almost zero speed across the ground, Schmitty's going to pitch that nose forward, down to 50 degrees. All they can see now is the ground in front of them as they descend, and then they're going to repeat that manoeuvre. In the left-hand seat today, we have another very experienced Chinook pilot, another Chinook captain, Flight Lieutenant Paul Hoyton. Paul joined the Air Force in 2011. He converted to the Chinook in 2016, and he's deployed to the Falklands, Mali, and to the Middle East in support of operations with the United Kingdom. Paul's job here today is to provide what we call patter to Schmitty. Schmitty keeps his eyes out of the cockpit the entire time, flying the aircraft with reference purely to what he can see outside the window. Paul, in the left-hand seat, is providing this patter, or a commentary if you like, to allow Schmitty to know exactly how high he is above the ground. Paul is telling him how much he's pitched the aircraft nose up, down, how much bank he's got in, all the things that Schmitty needs to make sure he does to ensure he doesn't break the aircraft limits as he takes it towards the edge of its performance. And what I'm going to do now is try and get you into the cockpit, and I'm going to let you listen to Paul providing the patter to Schmitty for the next manoeuvre, another single nose over.
Good speed, 0.5 T5. 0.4. 0.3, stand by. Ready, enter, now. 10, 20, 30, 40, 5, level. Alright, 10, 20, 30, 45, 6, 6, 300,
And we're now going to watch them go into a pedal turn at the left-hand end, and hopefully Paul will continue to talk you around this.
20, 30, turn now. Alright, 10, 20, 30, 45, 6, 600, 500, 400, 350, good height, good speed.
And you can hear Paul there say good height, good speed, which means Schmitty is back, approaching 120 knots at 300 feet, which is our minimum here for the display in Berlin. Notably in the UK, we take this display down to 100 feet, which makes it all the more important for the crew to be working very closely together to make sure this display is flown safely with what is, at the moment, about a 16 to 16.5 ton aircraft. The aircraft itself has a maximum all-up weight of 24.5 tons, which means we can carry a huge amount of equipment, both in the cabin and underslung underneath. There are 3 hooks underneath this aircraft, which means we can carry a combination of loads in operational theatres. Now, having done that that pedal turn into the wing wave, we've now got a flat 270-degree turn, about another 90 degrees or so for them to come around now, before they undertake a quick stop. Now this is a manoeuvre we use on the battlefield if we see troops late, or if they come out of cover at the last possible minute to bring the aircraft to a very rapid stop to go and pick them up. So 120 knots to 0 in a very short time there, as both rotor heads are presented to that oncoming airflow, all of that weight of the aircraft bringing it to a stop. And we're now going to undertake a sideways trawl, right to left. And if you look very closely into the ramp area, you can see our weapon systems operator, known as crewman, on the ramp now, on 2 knees with nothing to hold on to, as he's waving to you with 2 very large orange hands. And I would encourage you, please, to wave back to Sergeant Dan Hine. Sergeant Hine, from South Africa originally, joined the RAF in 2015, and he's trained as weapon systems operator, joined 27 Squadron in 2018. He spent 4 years on the squadron now. He's deployed to Operation Shadow in the Middle East and Somali, many more exercises around the world for Dan in that short time. The reason for that being the Chinook force in the UK is one of the most utilised forces we have. The aircraft is almost certainly always one of the very first, if not the first, aircraft into any operational theatre in the world because of its incredible utility in supporting all operations tactically at low level in a threat environment. And as they come to the end of the sideways trawl there, Dan is very quickly going to bring the ramp up, which you can see he's done at the back there. Very large ramp used to load vehicles, boats, troops onto the aircraft. Brought the ramp up, he's moved to the front of the cabin now, got himself reattached by the tether that keeps him inside that aircraft, and the aircraft is now going to execute what we call the Gorny climb. Now the Gorny corkscrew came from the Chinook forces time in Bosnia. It was used at one very specific landing site that was in a very tight valley. Now 2 weapons, miniguns on the left and the right hand side of the aircraft, and 1 M60 machine gun on the ramp. This manoeuvre in Bosnia allowed them to rotate those weapons to make sure that if anyone fired at the aircraft, they could bring weapon systems to bear from inside the aircraft very quickly if they needed to. And coming off the top of that Gorny corkscrew, you can see Schmitty has got the nose down. He's now looking across the cockpit to the left hand side, across the hall, as he accelerates that aircraft down now in a 405-degree spiral descent. Now this aircraft is a Chinook Mk6 Alpha, one of the oldest ones we have at the moment in the fleet. And the aircraft is now positioning out to the right hand side for another 30-degree offset wing over to run in right to left. Now we have 2 varieties of the display this year. We have an over land version and an over water version. We're actually going to demonstrate the over water version here for you today. The over land version would see us land the aircraft on the back 2 wheels, which is a technique we use if we have a power loss on the Chinook and we don't want to come to the hover. What the guys are now going to do is bring it into a straight and level quick stop, which is our over water version of the display. We're just going to vary it each day. You can see that nose, no more than about 20 degrees of nose up there. That can be used very close to the ground, and the reason we have that limit is to make sure that we do not strike the rear rotor disc on the ground when we conduct it. And I'd encourage you please to give the guys a wave now. There's 2 landing lights flashing saying thank you very much, Berlin, for allowing us to come here and demonstrate the UK CH-47 to you today. They're going to end their display now with an over-the-shoulder departure to the right. So that's another tactical technique we use. If we have an enemy in the 12 o'clock, it's directly in front of the aircraft, and we do not want to go that way on departure from a landing site. So we pitch up and we present the baffle proof, effectively the armoured underside of the aircraft to the enemy as we disappear into what we call the 6 o'clock, or behind the aircraft. We then get down to low level and we would terrain mask, get behind trees, get behind anything we can as we escape that landing zone. And as the Chinook now disappears towards the end of its display, I will say thank you again to all of you, but I must say thank you to all of our engineers, all of our survival equipment specialists who have come with us to Berlin and make sure this aircraft is in absolutely perfect condition to produce this air display for you here each day at Berlin. It is no small undertaking for those guys and girls to make sure this aircraft is good to go every day. So with that, thank you very much Berlin. I hope you all enjoyed that today, and we'll see you again a little bit later in the week.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you for the explanation, for the wonderful explanation of the wonderful flying display of the Chinook 47. We will see us in the next day. Vielen Dank für die wundervolle Erklärung dieses imposanten fliegerischen Displays CH47. Jeden Tag in der Woche wird dieses Display auch nochmal vorgeführt. Zur Informationen, das nächste Solo-Flight-Display eines Eurofighters findet heute um 16:30 Uhr statt. The next flight display of the Eurofighter Typhoon will start at 4:30.